Can you imagine falling in love with someone who has a child and then moving to the same small town their ex lives in and has lived in for years and years? Oh, and add in the challenges around being in an LGBTQ blended family? We are going to talk all about that and so much more with today's guest, Beth McDonough of the Inclusive Stepmom. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step-family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries. I'm so excited about today's interview. We are interviewing Beth McDonough. And I got to know Beth when I started coaching and writing for the Stepmomz app, but I had followed her before that, and I really loved her take on all the stepmom things. She's got a great kind of down-to-earth approach and is very real when you see her in videos and read her pieces. Beth is a certified step-parent coach, owner of the Inclusive Stepmom.com, as well as CMO and editor-in-chief of Stepmomz, which I just mentioned, but it's the first mobile app for stepmoms. It's going to be amazing. And as one of 3 moms raising a feisty redheaded stepdaughter, she knows how to thrive in an environment with a whole lot of feminine energy. And I want to talk about that too. In 2017, Beth married her wife, Jen, and kickstarted her role as a stepmom by moving to the tiny town the ex grew up in. If you can imagine that. She spent her life learning to thrive in step-family dynamics after her parents divorced when she was 4 and had several stepdads and a stepbrother who made their way in and out of her life. Beth specializes in LGBTQ plus issues, being a childless stepmom, infertility, dealing with the ex in a small town, which I really want to hear about, and strengthening step families through focusing on your relationship with your partner. She has been featured in Stepmom Magazine, Step Parent Magazine, She Knows Parenting, Bustle, Travel Zoo, Baby Center, and Parent Map. And in the limited spare time she's got, Beth reads, practices yoga, pretends she knows about wine. I'm guessing you know more than you think you do, and writes film reviews as a Rotten Tomatoes certified film critic, which is so interesting. You can find her on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And we'll have all the links to her social media and her website and everything in our show notes for you to check out. You will be able to find those at thiscustomlife.com/episode 7. So welcome, Beth. We're so excited that you're here.
That was an exhaustive bio, and now I feel very bad for making you read that whole thing.
But it's also a super interesting bio. I mean, you have a really unique path. I would like to hear more about like how you came to be a stepmom and, you know, I want to hear how you met Jen, of course, because I love hearing people's stories about how they met. But so let's just kind of go back to the beginning. Tell me everything.
Yeah. So I was born in West Virginia. No, I'm just kidding. We won't start back that far. I was working in Pittsburgh about 5 years ago, and my now wife, Jen, and I worked on the same floor. So 2 different departments, but we worked like on the same floor and interacted with projects a lot. And when she started, we quickly became friends. I, at the time, thought that I was just, your typical straight girl, just working her way through life. And we got really tight. And for about a year, we were just besties. And we had a pretty big fight one day. And the topic of the fight is like for another conversation, but it seems really silly now. And we didn't talk for like 3 days. And I remember I was in the shower one morning and I started crying because we hadn't spoken. And I was just like sobbing. And then all of a sudden I was standing there and it hit me. And I was like, Oh God. These feelings are not friend feelings.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you had never been in a relationship with a woman before. This was like a whole new thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a real shock to me, and something, I really had to come to terms with. And then, we had a conversation the next day where I more or less like implied these things. And so the day after that, I was at work early, like earlier than usual. And she came like busting into my office and she kissed me.
It's like something out of a rom-com.
It does feel that way saying it out loud.
And that was it.
And now never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and you knew obviously since you were such close friends that she had a daughter. And
Yes.
So how did all of that play out? And, you moved to the same town, small town that her ex lived in. So tell me more about that, because that seems like a really challenging dynamic.
Yeah. So, for, when we first met, my wife lived, where we live now, which is a super small town, like between Pittsburgh and Erie. And, she was commuting like an hour and a half for work. And so when she and her ex split, she got an apartment about halfway in between, so that she could, because my stepdaughter was young enough that they could just she didn't have to be in a school, so they could be, she could be in a few, like spaced out a little bit more and for a couple of days at a time. So we didn't have to worry about that. So she had an apartment about halfway in between for a while. And I had met my stepdaughter a few times before Jen and I actually got together. We had take your kid to work day, and she would come in, and she was like, the first time I met her, she was like 2, and she would come in my office and she would just wander around because it was pretty laid back, and she would take my markers and draw on my dry erase board and stuff like that. So we had some interactions, and like I was obsessed with her. She was just a little doll baby. But so she had been around me a little bit. And when we first got together, it was like, this is, mommy's friend. And so the adjustment there was the transition from how she, she was super little, so it wasn't that hard, and it happened pretty organically, but was just, the timing of explaining to her or showing her that now this is not just mommy's friend, this is mommy's partner, and like how that, would look, and how do you get like a small child to understand that transition, and when the right time is for them to feel that.
Yeah, totally. So how is the relationship with the ex and being in such a small town, and how do you guys work that? Because that's got to be hard, like you kind of coming into this territory that, they had been in for so long.
Yeah. So the company that Jen and I worked at together, we were in in the energy industry, which is super volatile. And we made it through one round of layoffs. And then the second time the first time they gutted about 80% of the company. The second time they closed the doors completely. And so we got laid off on the same day. And when that happened was about the same time my stepdaughter was getting ready to go into kindergarten. And, my wife realized that it was going to be a thing where, because there were so many roots that had already been put down in the town where her ex grew up in, it was going to be difficult for her to be able to get her to go to school somewhere else. And so we knew we were either going to have to move, or she was going to lose time, because the legal system is not going to look very kindly on that kind of commute when it's not necessary during the week. So I didn't have, I was in between jobs at the time. We both were. And so I was like, well, let's just go ahead and do this, so we can, we can have the schedule that we know you need to have, and she can spend equal time with both of you. So we moved up to this super small town, and it was really hard for a long time. I am 10 years younger than my wife. So there was a bit of a narrative, and, and we worked together. So there was a story, and there was people had opinions when they met me, or had already, I I felt super self-conscious because I would walk into a place and just wonder, like, what have the people in this room already, like, what do they already think about me?
No, totally. I mean, I hear from stepmoms about, how difficult it is. And I know I've certainly experienced this too, like just go showing up at sporting events and thinking, how many of these other parents have heard something like really horrible about me that's not true. But I cannot imagine, those are sort of isolated things. I can't imagine like having to worry about that every day, wherever you go in this town.
Yeah. And everybody knows everybody here. And not only that, but like it's pretty rural. There aren't a whole lot of gay families. So it's like everyone knows the little redhead that has multiple moms. Like it's just, pretty much everybody knows who we are. And so it took a lot of time for me to start to feel confident and to start to like search for my own people and create my own spaces and to just be vulnerable and know that like, so what if this person's heard something about me? Like, I don't have to prove anything. I just have to be myself. And if they decide that they want to change their opinion based on who they see for themselves I am, that's great. If not, at least I've treated them with respect and that's all I can do. And
it's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah. And it's worked out for the best. Things have shaken out okay since we hung in there. And with my wife's ex, like I would love to hear anybody say that stuff's not hard in the beginning for several years. I mean, sometimes it's hard all the time, but like for the first couple of years, it's just hard. Like
so true.
And especially depending on how recently the separation happened, right? Like if those wounds are still kind of fresh, it's just really, really difficult. And two people who have decided that they don't want to be in a romantic relationship anymore are going to disagree a lot. Like there's just going to be a lot of conflict when two people who no longer love each other are having to raise a kid together.
Absolutely.
So, we deal with the same stuff everybody else does, but we've grown and we've come a long way. And we have really kind of like learned how to hunker down as like a family unit. And a lot of that has changed since my wife's ex got engaged and has been in a serious relationship with her current partner, who is a man. And so that dynamic was, unique for us all to get used to in the beginning. But now it's like everybody is whole and happy and fulfilled. And so that makes it easier to kind of like put other things before your personal feelings.
Yeah. And you almost feel bad for him having to come into all of this female energy.
He really hangs in there.
I mean, how do you do? I mean, I know how it was like living in the sorority house with like all of the things that girls, I don't know, living with girls is different than living with guys. Right. Yeah. And so how do you do it with all the female energy? And,
oh man,
I mean, I know that's gotta be different than a straight relationship.
It is. Yeah. It's, we only have one bathroom, so that's okay, like in the morning. But yeah, I think that there are two things. The first thing was I'm grateful for this now, but in the beginning, it was a hard adjustment for me to figure out what my role was supposed to be, because a lot of times as stepmoms, we go in and we fill a gender role that's not in that house anymore. And so we come in and we find the mom things to do. And so when I came in, I was like, I don't know what that looks like for me. But it forced me to have to figure out like what I was good at, like what the holes that I filled that my wife, like where I could compliment her and where we could balance each other out. And that made our relationship even stronger. But, so my stepdaughter is almost 9, and there are like a little bit of like prepubescent energies happening with, feminine things. And there are a lot of emotions that rise high in our house sometimes, and a lot of talking. We're big talkers. Like women like to talk things.
We got to talk it out. Yeah. I know.
There's very little like, let's just give each other space and walk away for a while. Like all three of us are like, no, we're going to air this out right now.
We are not going to bed angry. My husband hates it when I say that to him. I'm like, we're not going to bed angry. We're going to finish this out. He's like, more talking, really?
Yeah. And like our family dinners can last a very long time sometimes.
But that's also great because that, gives you such an opportunity to bond and, really develop such a close relationship with your stepdaughter, which, I mean, just seeing your photos on social media and everything, it seems, you put one up the other day and the way she was looking at you, I just thought, oh my gosh, that child just loves her so much.
We've built a really strong relationship, and it's been really good for her to have a male role model now. She's had others in her life. She's had uncles and grandparents and things like that. But to have my wife's ex's fiance, they're not married yet, but I pretty much refer to him as her stepdad. They've been living together for a while, but to have someone in her life who can teach her how to trust good men and what a good man looks like and how men should treat women and girls. And that is really, really important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we feel lucky that there's someone in our unit now that can do that for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And the most important thing for kids is that, they know that they have two homes, that even though the two homes may not get along, both homes love them, want the best for them, and are keeping them safe, and it sounds like she's certainly got that in spades.
Yeah. She probably thinks she has a little bit too much love sometimes. Get off my back.
I think most kids that age are probably like that. Just give her a few years till she's a teen. That'll
I'm sure she's going to hit us all equally. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, what are some of the challenges that maybe people don't necessarily think about being in an LGBTQ plus, relationship, blended family? There are different things that you're facing both internally to the family and externally. What are some of the different things that you have faced that, maybe those of us in straight families don't know or don't understand?
Yeah. I think, the biggest thing in the beginning was like I was saying earlier, just finding where I fit. It was just hard to figure out where I, what shoes I was supposed to fill, what role I was supposed to fill. And I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. None of us do. Right. So that's also a similarity, but I think that, stepmoms in all family structures have this feeling of this, this outsider syndrome. And we feel like we aren't accepted by society, or that, you see what a family looks like on TV or in books, and it's really hard to find resources that show your family structure as being normal. And I think that's, that more than anything is compounded being in an LGBT family, because it's even harder to find a family unit that looks like ours, having two houses and three moms and a dad. It's just, you don't see that a lot. And so it's hard to help her, sometimes feel I don't think it's important to feel normal, right? I think uniqueness is great, but to help her feel she fits. And, I think the hardest moments I have ever had are feeling like I'm not, quite a mom. You feel that almost mom, but not quite thing. And then going to a doctor's office and having to come out all the time. We went to the first time I ever went to the fertility clinic in Pittsburgh, they have a rainbow flag on their door. But when I walked in and had to fill out the forms, they asked me what my husband's name was. And it's just, and so having to constantly correct people's assumptions of what your family is. And when we go to restaurants, sometimes, as stepmoms, we can already feel like we are third wheel or, an extra or something. And we're never asked it's never assumed that we want one check at a restaurant. And it's the little things like that when we already feel like outsiders.
Well, that's so interesting, because that's something I had never thought about with you guys in terms of just going to a restaurant and them not realizing that you should have one check.
No,
that's got to be really frustrating every single time.
Every time, yeah. It's very rare that it's only if we've been in DC or somewhere where they see that more often, I guess. But if we're with my stepdaughter or if it's just the two of us, we're always asked if we want separate checks. And and it's just thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you coach both LGBTQ and straight stepmoms. How does the approach differ? And like, what are the different challenges that you see on each side?
Yeah, so right now I have, we are just over halfway through a group coaching course that I'm running, and there are seven stepmoms in it, and two of them have female partners. And I find that they almost all have the same stuff. Like we've all,
really,
yeah, we've all got the same stuff. And when I try to teach in an inclusive way when I'm coaching them, is that sometimes coaching can come down. It can be very gender specific, right? Like men are like this and women are like this when it comes to handling conflict and communicating and personality styles. And so I start a lot with like Enneagram numbers or, Myers-Briggs and stuff like that. And like figuring out how you communicate with your partner based on that and based on like masculinity and femininity as a spectrum, right? Does your partner, even like my wife is a woman, but she has a very masculine communication style. So she fits sometimes in that way, like the way that a man would communicate. The way that we say a man would communicate, but it's on such a scale. And so it's more about strategies for how to meet your partner where they are and how to figure out how they need to get support from you and making adjustments to have a healthier relationship.
And how they feel support and love and all of that good stuff. Because if you're speaking it in a way that you understand, but they don't, and they're doing the same thing, then you're never going to, have a meeting of the minds.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you mentioned the group coaching, and I know that you've got a new group coaching session coming up in January. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So it was in, I guess, sort of like beta testing this time around. This was my pilot program with the group of 7 women that I just talked about. And it's been really, really awesome. So I'm excited to start another round in January. I'm going to be doing 2 groups this time instead of just 1. It'll be 12 weeks. So I'm going to be running it once a quarter, and we'll start the next one in January. And I'm taking people for the wait list now. If you want to secure your spot as a treat to yourself before the new year, I think it'll be a great time for people to kind of like hit that reset button and figure out what they want to work on in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. And coaching is such a valuable experience. And it's one that certainly when I became a stepmom didn't even occur to me. But, having that extra little bit of help dealing with, a position that feels very lonely sometimes, is really great.
Yeah, we feel like nobody could possibly get it, right? And that what we're doing and what we're going through is so isolated, and that our issues are like terminally unique, right? And yes, we are all unique, but there are some just very specific struggles that are the same for all of us, and we can get through using certain strategies together.
Yeah. And I think that for stepmoms, when they meet a coach who has been through all that, it's sort of like, oh my gosh, wait, that happened to you too? I'm not crazy here,
Like, hey, sister.
Yeah. So what do you think the biggest issue that the clients that you see are struggling with?
So I'd say there are 2. And I think that one has a lot to do with the other. So the first one is realizing that they can create the role that they want, that being a stepmom doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't mean you have to do certain things. It doesn't mean you have to accept certain behaviors and treatment. And directly tied to that is learning number one, that it's okay. And number 2, how to create boundaries that help you actually like have the role and the experience that you want to in your family. Because you get to decide.
Yeah. And the boundaries thing is so hard because, a lot of times I feel like you end up, you're figuring out how to set boundaries perhaps with the ex, but then it's also having a conversation with your partner about those boundaries and getting their backup and support to kind of reinforce you.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes we have to set boundaries with our partners too. And
absolutely.
That can be hard, especially if you've been together, been married for, a while and have set a certain standard already. A lot of times women feel like they can't change things up if they've already, agreed to certain things. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. That is hard, but it can be done.
Yes.
Absolutely. So if you could say one thing to the stepmom who's out there struggling, or, maybe the stepmom that, is like you are and found herself in a situation that was maybe different than she expected, for whatever reason, I mean, what would you say?
I would tell her to not forget who you are. And when it comes right down to it, everything will fall into line if you just stay true to yourself and your needs.
That is such good advice.
And that's not selfish.
Totally. That actually reminds me, when I was in high school, every time I would go out, the last thing my mom would always say to me when I would leave the house is, remember who you are.
Yeah,
and I used to roll my eyes at it, but honestly, and moms do know best, right?
Yeah.
That is such good advice, because you really do need to remember who you are and not lose yourself. And it's very sage.
I learned that the hard way too, though. I mean, I did completely lost myself in what I thought my role should be for a long time. And it takes a minute to realize no, my needs matter too. And the things that I liked to do before I partnered up with somebody who had kids, those are still valid things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think your clients are very lucky to have you in their corner and supporting them in their journeys. And I'm going to go totally off the subject, but I know you do movie reviews for Rotten Tomatoes, which I'm so fascinated by because I love the movies, obviously. But what are you binge watching right now?
Oh man, it's been a hard year for movies because number one, nothing's been coming out. And number two, I've had, with COVID and stuff, I've had a difficult time having my attention span on something that's movie length. So we have been sticking to TV a lot lately. And over last weekend, my wife and I just finished Schitt's Creek, and I cried when it was over because it was just so wonderful. And
we just finished it last weekend too, and I did too.
It is.
I love that show so much.
Watch it over and over again. It's absolutely amazing. Oh, and
it's amazing.
Also, the other night, I was, feeling spooky for Halloween and started watching The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix.
Oh, no, I have not seen that, but I've heard it's really good.
It is very good. It's just scary enough for me to handle. So, and it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. So I'm getting lots of good ideas. Yeah, I was so sad when Schitt's Creek was over. That really was the best show.
I know, and I feel like I found it so late.
I did too.
All of them in just a couple weeks, and I was like, how did I miss this the whole time?
We did the same thing. And I tell you, all of my memes now have been Schitt's Creek memes.
Oh, yeah. I think ew David to almost everything.
Same. In fact, Craig sent me something yesterday, and I just responded with a meme of David going, ew.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And I want you to check out Beth's website, theinclusivestepmom.com, and find her on social media. And again, I'm going to post all the links in today's show notes, which you'll be able to find at thiscustomlife.com/episode 7. And again, thank you so much, Beth. This was really, really fun.
Yeah,
really informative. I'm so excited for people to hear your views on all this and get your assistance and your support and all that.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.